What happens to women who love outlaws? A Valentine's Day look at RDR2. Since it's Valentine's Day, let's talk about love in the Red Dead Redemption 2 and why it doesn't work. When we talk about the Red Dead Redemption 2, we usually talk about Arthur. His redemption, his tragedy, his sickness, his sacrifice. But what if we've been looking at the story from the wrong angle? What if Arthur Morgan isn't the center of every emotional arc? What if, instead, the women in the Red Dead Redemption 2 are the ones who quietly reveal what kind of world this really is? Not as love interests, not as background texture, but as survival strategies. In RDR2, men chase ideals, women survive systems. And when you look at Mary Linton, Shea, and Mary-Beth Gaskill side by side, something becomes very clear. This is not a story about romance. It's a story about what happens to women who tie their futures to violent men. Molly O'Shea, Love Inside the Gang. Let's start with Molly O'Shea. Molly didn't join the gang for money. She didn't join for ideology. She joined because she loved Dutch. That's important. Her entire presence in the gang is relational, and once Dutch begins to unravel, Molly has nothing left. She doesn't drop trains, she doesn't manage camp, she doesn't hold structural value, she holds emotional value. And when Dutch withdraws that attention, she collapses. The gang is a system built on violence, mobility, and utility. If you are not useful, you are fragile. Molly's tragedy isn't just that she loved the wrong man. It's that she built her identity around him inside a structure that does not protect women emotionally. The gang protects loyalty, it protects power, it protects money. It does not protect romantic devotion. And Molly pays the price for that miscalculation. Mary Linton, love outside the gang. Now look at Mary Linton. Mary also loves a violent man, but she makes a different decision. She does not enter the system. She refuses the life that would have consumed her. Mary Linton's tragedy is quieter. She wants Arthur, but not the outlaw. She wants him changed. She wants him reformed. She wants a version of him that doesn't exist yet. That's why their relationship feels impossible. Because Mary isn't willing to dissolve herself into this world, and that refusal saves her. Mary Linton does not die. She does not lose herself. She does not become emotionally dependent inside a collapsing structure. She walks away. And walking away in this game is survival. Mary-Beth, survival through detachment. Then we have Mary-Beth. Mary-Beth is different from both. She is inside the gang, but she does not anchor herself to one man. She doesn't orbit Arthur, she doesn't orbit Dutch. She reads, she observes, she steals when necessary, she adapts. Even though she seems to have a quiet crush on Arthur, she never dedicates herself to a man's path, nor does she pursue marriage for financial security like Tilly. She keeps her direction her own. Most importantly, she does not tie her future to romance. She doesn't try to change Arthur. She doesn't try to save him. She doesn't sacrifice herself for him. And because of that, she survives. Not dramatically, not heroically, quietly. She lives. She becomes a writer. She builds a life outside the outlaw myth. Mary-Beth's survival is not about love. It is about maintaining an internal self separate from violent men. The pattern. Now step back. Molly ties her identity to Dutch. She is destroyed. Mary Linton ties her heart to Arthur but refuses his world. She survives by living. Mary-Beth lives in the world but refuses emotional dependency. She survives by detaching. This isn't coincidence, it is structural. RDR2 shows us that the outlaw system is incompatible with romantic stability. It consumes women who dissolve into it. It cannot hold intimacy without breaking it. And that's not just about Arthur. It is about the entire design of the gang. Arthur as a possibility, not center. Here is where perspective shifts. Arthur is not the main force shaping this woman's fate. He is a variable, an option, a crossroads. If Mary Linton joined the gang for Arthur, what would change? Look at Molly. The system is already there. Isolation, violence, emotional neglect, constant movement. This structure does not transform because love enters it. Love transforms because the structure crushes it. Arthur is not uniquely evil. He is part of a world that does not know how to sustain tenderness. And the women who understand that survive. The real divide. The difference between these women isn't who they loved. It's how much of themselves they were willing to lose. Molly gives everything. Mary negotiates. Mary-Beth preserves herself. And that's why Arthur isn't the center of their stories. He is simply a test. A question each woman answers differently. Will you build your life around a violent man? One says yes, one says almost, one says no. Only one dies. What this says about the game. We often frame this story as a masculine tragedy. Arthur's redemption, Dyke's downfall, John's future. But look closer. The women in RDR2 expose the limits of the outlaw myth. They show us that romantic devotion does not redeem violence. They show us that loving a good man is not enough if he lives inside a broken system. And they show us that survival for women in this world requires emotional independence. That's not dramatic, it's not cinematic, it's quiet, but it's deliberate. Final thoughts. Arthur's story ends in sacrifice, but the woman's story ends in clarity. Molly shows us what happens when love replaces identity. Mary Linton shows us what happens when love demands transformation. Mary-Beth showed us what happens when love is not allowed to define you. Arthur was a possibility in their lives, not their purpose, and maybe that's the most honest thing the game says, in the world of RDR2. Redemption is rare, but survival belongs to those who refuse to disappear inside someone else's myth. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. There is a lot more hidden beneath the surface of the RDR2, and we are just getting started. Let me know in the comments which character you'd like to explore next. And as always, thanks for watching.